643 Yada Yahowah, Shanah, years. 13. Einish, no one? Blind and deaf. Beyond those we have already considered, there are two additional prophecies in Yeshaya, Isaiah commonly misappropriated by the religious in a desperate attempt to justify replacement theology. For us to be correct in our presentation of Yahweh's testimony, we must repudiate these perversions of God's word. And so, we will continue to delegitimize the religion that has historically been the most anti-Semitic while re-establishing Daud's standing among his people. The first is 2 chapters after the Ode to Daud we just explored. The 11th chapter of Yeshaya, deliverance is claimed by Christians on behalf of Jesus. But since he would not have been a secondary branch or succor, and since he is never recorded mentioning Yahweh, much less receiving his 7 spirits, and since he wrote nothing, Jesus is disqualified. Then a chota, a shoot, secondary branch and sucker from the fallen stump, wachota, a stem or smaller branch, a slender stick or twig, a pliable wooden instrument, a secondary source of growth serving as a living entity delivering progeny, an observant individual who is willing to listen and who is committed to thinking while collecting the things Yahweh values as an unrestrained extension, will be extended for a limited time, Yatsa, he will be brought forth to serve. Cal perfect active sequential third person masculine singular, by means of, min, out of, the stock, gazer, the stump and 644 root from which new growth emerges, the trunk which has been cut down and yet is capable of supporting new shoots, of Ishay, to stand out and be noticed, Ishay, to draw attention to the substance of existence, from Yesh, to exist and become substantial, to stand up and be noticed. As, Wa, an observant branch, Netzer, a secondary stem or shoot which extends from a primary limb, from Nazar, to observe, watch over, and preserve, to closely look after, focus on, and protect, by means of, min, his roots, and that which keeps him anchored, steadfast, and nourished, sheresh his base and foundation, that which keeps him firmly established, such that he will continually bear an abundance of fruit, being productive while encouraging productivity in others, para. So that he will be consistently fruitful while causing and enabling prosperity on behalf of successive generations, Kalim perfect. Yashaya, Isaiah 11:1. This is because, Wa, the spirit, Ruach, divine power, influence and energy, the mind and essence, the feminine touch and understanding, the maternal acceptance and support, the protection and light, especially the faculty to respond of Yahweh, will settle and remain on him, Nuvak El-Hu, she was placed upon him, she energizes him and restores him, she is in an alliance with him, dwelling and residing within him, never departing his abode while she enriches the association and assures the most favorable outcome for him, enabling him to be composed and prevail no matter the challenge, Cal perfect third person feminine singular and third person masculine singular, the spirit, Ruach, providing the capacity to comprehend and teach, Chakma, offering the mental aptitude and wisdom to instruct. Comprehension and technical expertise to do what is required to impart understanding and to educate, and, Wa, enabling understanding by making connections to reveal insights, Binah, facilitating the propensity to ponder and process information by being perceptive and discerning, 645 discriminating and judgmental, making intelligent associations which lead to a conceptual comprehension, revealing how to react and respond after full and thoughtful consideration, from Bin. Making connections between and among things so as to find patterns and relationships which enlighten, the spirit, Ruach, of advice and counsel, Eitzar, of pertinent directions regarding how to properly respond, providing prudent consultation on the purpose of the proposal, delivering effective mentoring on how to deliberate relevant decisions, and of being emboldened and inspiring, Wadra, on how to be a strong, courageous leader who is empowering. Able to accomplish the mission and perform until it is complete, providing the aptitude and capability to confirm what is true, offering the mental discipline to be unwavering, championing the cause with courage, character, and confidence. Always fighting to defend God's people and affirm their rights, the spirit, Ruach, of knowing and knowledge, Dorth, of recognizing where to look for answers and acquiring information, of being aware of the evidence and being able to discern what is relevant and accurate, of discriminating between fact and fiction and right and wrong, so as to recognize and acknowledge the truth, from Yada, to learn and to know, to recognize and acknowledge, to consider and comprehend, to become acquainted and personally familiar, so as, Wa, to respect and revere, Yirah, to appreciate the awesome nature, outstanding character, superlative ability, and astonishing greatness and be inspired by, Yahowah, Yashaya, Isaiah 11:2. Additionally, Wa, in addition, by accepting the offer and responding appropriately, he will be perceptive, Yahu, his acceptance and perceptiveness, his nose for the truth, his willingness to respond and supply answers after his virtual meeting will be pleasing, bringing him very close, hyphal infinitive perfect, with regard to developing a profound 646 admiration and respect for Bar Yirah, with the ability to appreciate the awesome wonderment and astonishing greatness so as to be inspired by Yahowah. Yahowah. Therefore, it will not be by an appearance or vision, Lola Maria, and will not be through the visual form which can be seen nor from any spiritual revelation, miraculous vision, or supernatural phenomenon, seen with his eyes, ein hue, of his own perceptions or perspectives, appearances or personal understanding, that he will decide, shafot, that he will confront the evidence and should judge, making decisions. Also, it will not be by hearsay, Lola Mishma, not by rumors or innuendo, not by word of mouth or that which is passed around person to person, nor by listening to information which cannot be verified, from to question and Shama, listening, heard with his ears, as an hue, that he will make judgments or prove his arguments, yakak, should he offer advice or seek to resolve disputes, should he make decisions regarding vindication, complain, or hurl accusations, should he chide, attempt to disprove, or determine who is right, nor debate. Yashar, Isaiah 11:3. He will exercise good judgment, shafot, he will decide, judging and adjudicating the matter, arguing to resolve disputes, seeking to be accurate, honest, and forthright, tzedek, being fair and correct, in accord with the truth, avoiding any conflict or inconsistency with the established standard, with regard to opening the doorway for the discerning, dull, advice on providing a way in for the few and otherwise insignificant, using spoken words to disclose the entrance on behalf of the needy. Societally disenfranchised, and unpretentious who have been deprived, from Dala, to draw conclusions and thus be discerning. 647 He will provide proof using sound arguments, yakak, he will use evidence and reason to decide, judge and correct, engaging in dialogue to resolve disputes while criticizing, accusing, and condemning, making the case to vindicate or convict, Heifel perfect, with, everything out in the open, doing so fairly, by putting everything on the table, on the level, nothing hidden, justly and equitably in a very forthright and direct manner, from Yashar, to be right, approved, and candid, on behalf of, the sincere who are seeking straightforward answers, or those who are willing to respond, but who need some assistance from a witness with answers to their questions who is constantly thinking about making such declarations, from Anna, to respond after receiving answers, testifying as a witness, of the land, eres, of the material realm. Then, he will strike, verbally attacking and disabling, naka, he will confront, crippling and incapacitating, sarcastically mocking, chastising, and judging, while pointing out the irony of it all to ravage and defeat, ending lives within, Heifel perfect masculine singular, he will use the staff to strike a debilitating blow for a time at the direction of another, the material realm, eres, those on the earth, with the rod and staff, Shebet, on behalf of the nation and tribes with the implement, of his mouth and, thus, his voice, Pehu, and with, along with, the spirit, Ruach, of his lips and resulting language, Saphahu, his speech, he will devastate, Momph, he will destroy, even kill, the wicked and the wrong, Rasha, the godless whose thoughts, words, and deeds are criminal and evil, of those deserving condemnation for having been in violation of the standard, of those guilty of creating disunity and disharmony. Yashar, Isaiah 11:4. Being right, correct, and honest, tzedek, being accurate, righteous, upright, fair, and just, redeemed, 648 vindicated, and innocent, rational and in accord with the standard, will be, higher, the belt around his waist, Ezor hue, the sash, band, and cloth around his midsection, supporting his back while protecting his core, and, the trustworthy and reliable nature of the witness, Emuna, the integrity and dependability of the individual, and testimony, by keeping it real and genuine, steadfast and truthful, honest and valid, from a man, to support and confirm that which is trustworthy and reliable, upholding and verifiable, will be the band girding him, Ezor Shalat's hue, the belt and sash around his manhood, virility, and loins, from Shalat's, to be rescued and delivered, withdrawn and invigorated. Yashar, Isaiah 11:5. After a number of symbolic references to the events of his time, the prophecy continues by saying, then, it shall come to pass, in that day, Yaum Ha-Hu, the root which anchors and nourishes, Sheresh Hu, the base and foundation, the source and family line, that is steadfast and focused on the root of the matter, of Ishay, to stand out and be noticed, Ishay, to draw attention to the substance of existence, who showed the way to the benefits of the relationship, Asher, who served as a guide, leading and directing others to the correct path to walk to give meaning to life and to experience the greatest blessings, will stand up, present and accounted for, a mod, will stand before someone who is superior, presenting the means to evaluate the one who appointed and sustains him, providing the means to assess the evidence and make a thoughtful decision, cal participle, approaching as, la, toward the goal of producing, a nes, banner, nes, a standard bearer, a signal and ensign. Something which is lifted up to communicate a message to those who are observant, for the family, amel, for the people who are related, describing the children of Israel and the covenant. 649 through him, Elihu, as he leads, providing directions to approach God, Gentiles, Goim, people unrelated to or living outside of Israel, will continue to seek, Dirosh, they will inquire about, search for, and investigate, expecting to find a responsible presentation about engaging in the relationship which is nourishing and keeps them safe with ongoing implications throughout time, cal imperfect active. And so therefore, Wah, his restful residence, Manukahu, his place of repose and reflection, his comfortable habitation, from Nuvak, spiritual contentment and Nawa, living in a spiritual dwelling where sheep abide, will exist as, Haya, a reward and a source of enrichment, energy, and enlightenment, Karbad, a valuable and dignified gift, existing as a place of abundance, as a manifestation of something wonderful, and as an attribution of an inheritance of impressive splendor. Yashar, Isaiah 11:10. So, Wah, it will have come to pass, Haya, in that day, Bar Ha-Yam Ha-Hu, my upright one, Downy, will once again associate, Yazaph, will increasingly add, again joining, Hyphal imperfect active, his hand, Yod-Hu, his influence and power, a second time, Sheni, to reacquire, bring forth, and redeem, Kana, to provide rebirth to, recover, and obtain, the remnant, Shah, the residual, of his family, Amhu, his people, the children of Israel, who remain, Asher Shah, out of, Min, Ashur, northern Iran and Iraq, Ashur, from Wamin, Miraim, lower Egypt, Miraim, out of Pathros, upper Egypt, Wamin Pathros, from Wamin, Cush, Arabian Peninsula, Cush, out of Wamin, Elam, southwestern Iran, Elam, from Wamin, Shanah, Iraq, Babylon, Shanah, out of Wamin, Shemot, Syria, Shemot, and from Wamin, the coastlands, the inhabited shores of countries bordered by large bodies of water, notably, Lebanon, the United 650 States, Canada, Central and South America, Western, Southern, and Northern Europe, Turkey, India, New Zealand, Australia, and Northern and Southern Africa, of the sea, Ha-Yam, of the Gentiles. Yashar, Isaiah 11:11. So, Wah, he will lift up, Nasa, he will bring forth and raise, cal perfect, a nes, banner, nes, the standard, a sign and ensign, something which is designed to communicate a message on behalf of those who are observant, for the Gentiles and their nations, Goim, for ethnicities, people, and places other than Israel. Then, Wah, he will gather together and remove, Asaph, he will collect and assemble as in a harvest, bringing together and withdrawing, cal perfect, the straying and scattered, Nadak, the banished of the diaspora, who were expelled and forced to live in a different place, of Israel, individuals who engage and endure with God. And, Wah, the dispersed, pools, the scattered who are away from home and shattered, of Yahweh, beloved and related to Yah, he will gather up and obtain, Kabats, he will collect, assemble, and relocate as a result of the relationship, harvesting them, peel imperfect, from, Min, the four, Abba, extremities, Kanaf, distant places, corners, or borders, of the earth, Eres of the land. Yashar, Isaiah 11:12. Suffice it to say, this was not about Jesus as so many believe. It is, however, about Yahweh's love for his people and his willingness to equip a chota and raise a nes to bring them home. 651. While we are on the subject of correcting the record, there is another prophecy that is purported to speak of the Passover Lamb. And while it begins in Yashar, Isaiah 42, it is what God says before that pronouncement which indicates he is speaking of someone else, chastising the useless nature of religious and political leaders, especially among Yahweh Jews. Yashar, Isaiah asks, who, has been informative, conspicuously reporting, Nagad, has been openly revealing, Hyphal perfect, from the source, Min Rosh, from early on, so that we may choose to know, Yada, so that we can elect of our own free will to become aware and acknowledge, Kal cohortative imperfect, and without turning away, Min la pana, by paying attention to the presence and appearance, so that we might say, Ma, we can confess, Kal imperfect, this is right, Zardak, this is correct, from one Kesser. Indeed, it has been disheartening, surely it is disappointing, there was no one, not one, who made an informative declaration, Nagad, who announced and reported the evidence. It has also been discouraging, even infuriating, that there was no one, who would even listen, Shamah. It has been aggravating, it is annoying, that there were none, no one, willing to hear your words, Shamah listen to your declarations. Yashaya, Isaiah 41:26. Our Creator has consistently revealed himself through his people, turning the best into prophets, and yet over the longest chasm of time, not one Yahud, Jew was willing to listen to God. Not a single Israelite, Israeli could be found to speak on behalf of Yahowah. Their religious and political leaders had become as dysfunctional as they were annoying. 652 Should anyone still be wondering why Yahowah stooped to using a Gawi, asking a Gentile to study his testimony and share his message with his people, now you know. If you are a Jew, this should both disgust you and fill you with a tremendous desire to thank Yahowah for not giving up on you, for finding someone and equipping them, to bridge the great divide. Yahowah explained. Initially, Rishon, first, for Zion, La Zion, concerning the signs posted along the way, there was a lack of awareness, slumber, from one Kesser. So, on behalf of, Wallah, Yahushalem, source from which guidance and teaching regarding reconciliation flow, I wanted to offer, Nathan, I constantly sought to provide, a basar, herald, an ordinary person to proclaim the news, basar, a mortal being who will convey information which is remarkably positive. Yashaya, Isaiah 41:27. We know that it is Yah's preference to work through his people. But sometimes, through no fault of his own, his options are limited. And this time, rather than a Nabi, prophet, he would offer a basar, herald, an ordinary fellow tasked with the extraordinary mission of being a witness. But when I looked, Wara, there was not a single individual, Wa'inish, there was nobody, not a soul, not one among them, Wa'minale Wa'in, who would provide thoughtful guidance, Yawitz, who was willing to convey rational advice, inspired thoughts, valuable directions, or considered counsel, nor even respond by speaking, Washub Tabar, nor return a word, when I asked them, Washalhem, when I inquired of them and made the request to them. Yashaya, Isaiah 41:28. 653 The chosen people chose to disassociate from God over a protracted period of time, some 2,500 years. And since Yah isn't about to force anyone to listen to him, much less speak for him, there would be a resounding silence between God and humankind over the ensuing millennia. Those who were afforded every advantage should be embarrassed reading these words. And trying to whisk it all away by disparaging the speaker as an anti-Semite will not work, since he is both Hashem, the name, and the one who created and named Shem. Behold, they are all, Shurlhem, delusional and deceitful, Arwen, immoral and corrupt, an impediment to the relationship. Their customs, occupations, and achievements, Marsehem, their works and ambitions, their practices and patterns of behavior, are nothing but, fees, that of the ruinous and destructive, Watowu, the wasteful and empty, idolatrous and vain, false, spirit, Ruach, of their false gods, Nisekhem, of pagan deities they have anointed and cast. Yashaya, Isaiah 41:29. Yahowah is disparaging Judaism. He views the religion of the rabbis as ruinous and destructive. Worse, Yahowah is revealing that the God Jews claim to worship is modeled after Satan. Therefore, rather than announce the arrival of the Passover Lamb, the prelude to the prophecy explains the reason Yahowah selected a basar, herald, to address his estranged family. His people were unwilling to listen to him. Taken out of context, the prophecy which follows is often claimed on behalf of the Christian Jesus, when it, like so many others, speaks about Yahowah's enduring relationship with his beloved son, the Messiah, Daud. As we know, David is Yahowah's chosen one. Yahowah's Spirit came upon him the day he was anointed 654 as the Mashiach and remained throughout his life. Moreover, it is Daud who will be returning with Yah to judge the nations. Pay close attention, because, my associate, Ebed Eni, is my co-worker and servant, whom I uphold, Tamuk, who I accept and embrace, grasping by the hand, whom I have chosen, Bahu Bacha Eni, with him being my chosen one, the one I favor for a special and affectionate relationship. My soul, Nipesh Eni, enjoys and delights in him, Ratsa, is pleased with him and accepts him fondly. I have placed, Nathan, I have given, providing, my spirit, Ruach Eni, upon him, Alhu. He will come forth, Yatsa, he will be brought back, to judge, Mishpat, to determine the fate, deciding what will occur to resolve the disputes regarding, those of different ethnicities and cultures, Lahar Gawim, the Gentiles and their nations. Yashaya, Isaiah 42:1. Most have been led to believe that God will judge the nations. But God said otherwise. According to Yahowah, his chosen one, the one he has accepted and upheld, the one who pleases him, the one whose company he enjoys, the one who has received his Spirit, is the one who will return to judge the Gentiles. There is only one such person, one individual who meets all these criteria, David. He will not scream or shout, lo tiasayak, he will not speak loudly or cry out, nor will he raise his voice, while lo nasakal hue, such that it is heard in the broad or open way, while lo shama bahar chuls. Yashaya, Isaiah 42:2. Daud will not be soliciting Gentiles. He will not be inviting them to join him or summoning them to his God. The time for that is over. He will be condemning the church which has sought to replace him and his people. 655 We know this to be the case because Christianity is the broad and open way. The faithful haven't listened to Yahowah or his Son, and that isn't going to change. Those who have nothing to contribute, shout like the progressive protesters who chant slogans in the streets, while those who know better, share what they have learned in a voice whose amplitude resonates with those willing to listen. In this next statement, the harassed stem which has been extended is yet another reference to the chota described in this context as Daud's basar, herald. And it is during his time as one of the two witnesses that he will be badgered by a world spun out of control. The mistreated stem which has been extended, Kaneth Ratsats, the harassed branch and ill-treated shoot which has been brought forth, will never cease, be harmed, or suffer, lo Shabbat, he will not be touched, much less broken or destroyed because no one will make physical contact, his confidence and courage will not falter, kal imperfect masculine singular. This restoring and glowing, wakiha, this renewing and repairing, healing and restrained, smouldering, faint, and sometimes faltering, wick, pishtar, flax as a source of linen fibers for oil lamps or garments, he will not allow to be quenched, lo kaba, he will not allow to be extinguished or snuffed out, peel imperfect energic nunjussive, he will see to it that the flame endures forevermore. He will reliably, truthfully, and steadfastly, hula emith, he will honestly and dependably, verifiably and perpetually, bring forth and disseminate, yatsa, he will consistently come out with and extend, commencing in Exodus to go forth with, hyphal imperfect, the means to make informed and rational decisions, mishpat, good judgment regarding the plan, helping to decide the fates of 656 the accused, resolving disputes through conviction or vindication using valid information and reason. Yashaya, Isaiah 42:3. From Yashaya's perspective, the work of the Chota and Basar is instrumental to the recognition of Daud as the Zarawah and Mashyah, the Bakar and Melech. And so, as he tells Daud's story, the witness chosen to convey this message to Yahowah's people is always included. Yahowah has a lot to say about this episode in the lives of his people because this is the final chapter of his original Torah teaching. It is now or never for the chosen people. Even with the luxury of time, 3,000 years since the previous kingdom of Daud, since God could not find a single, solitary Jew who would listen to him, he has chosen to fulfill Towrah by heralding this message. And so now, between Chagmatzah and Towrah in 2023, only 10 orbits around the sun remain for Jews to see the light. With reconciliations in year 6,000 year rapidly approaching, Yahowah needs to get Yisrael's undivided attention. And what better way than to speak prolifically of the witness he has promised to deploy throughout his prophets. Aware of what God has repeatedly revealed, those reading these words have a unique opportunity to capitalize upon what Yahowah has endeavored to bring to their attention. Now is the time to accept that he has deployed his Spirit to make all of this information available to facilitate sound decisions. There is also the option to discount these prophecies, ignore what God is offering, scoff at these words, retreat to religious rhetoric and political platitudes, and continue as Jews and Gentiles have been doing for the past 3,000 years and see how that works out. The master of metaphors has put all of them into play. He has painted his final witness as an Akri and Naka, my 657 observant and responsive foreigner, a Chota, secondary stem and sucker from the fallen stump, a Malach, spiritual messenger, a Basar, human herald, an Ed, enduring witness, a Zarawah, sowing seeds, as Yada, to know, and now as an unrelenting Kana, stem and unquenchable Kihapishtar, glowing wick. By name or title, his role is to compose the Nez, banner Yahowah has promised to prominently display prior to his return. That is not to suggest that this wick has any merit outside of this moment. He is not among the featured characters in Yahowah's story, nor is he a prophet. He isn't even a Yahud. He does not want or expect any accolades, recognition, or responsibilities in the hereafter. He is simply a replacement player while the original cast is out on strike. In heaven, he will be one of many. Now, however, his role is to reintroduce Israelites to Yahowah, to the Torah, Mikrei, and Berith, and to Daud, the Son of God, Messiah, Shepherd, and returning King. He is calling God's people home. At the very least, Ye's witness wants you to be aware that God did not say, a bruised reed shall he not break, and the smoking flax shall he not quench, he shall bring forth judgment unto truth, as the King James Version published. He will not be restrained, incapacitated, nor discouraged, lokar, he will not be apprehensive, controlled, or undermined, nor will he lose his intensity nor lack sufficient resources, never fading away, never holding back, nor will his everlasting witness ever be challenged, walo ratsatsad, nor will his testimony be opposed nor demeaned throughout the remainder of time, not stricken down forevermore, as he examines and establishes, sim, as he encourages and affirms, kal imperfect. Good judgment and sound decision-making, mishpat, rational choices regarding the official plan to 658 resolve disputes, within the land and upon the earth, bahar eres, in the material realm. And so, the coastlands will long, the coastal regions will want, from awa, to express a preference, to inherit, nashala, receiving as a birthright from one's father, from one kesser, his Torah, guidance, Torah his teaching, direction, and instruction. Yashaya, Isaiah 42:4. Yahowah seems to be pleased with his witness attitude and tenacity. Infused with spiritual energy and insights, he is intensely devoted to God, and essentially unstoppable. The final flame may be faint compared to the brilliance of Moses and Daud, but that is appropriate because he is sharing their testimony. Moreover, in these dark days, his light will be sufficient. The witness will endure, and his testimony will be unchallenged because of his approach, wherein he encourages God's people to examine the Torah, and then decide based on the evidence. We have some options with E. The most common definition is coastlands, in addition to border or region. He can also be translated as habitable area, alas, woe, or serve as a form of negation. It can even be an interrogative, asking where, why, or for what reason. This is likely because the verbal root, awa, expresses a desire, preference, or longing. The overwhelming preponderance of Jews live within 100 miles of the coast, particularly in Israel, the United States, in California, Florida, and New York, France, Canada, the United Kingdom, Argentina, Russia, Germany, Australia, Brazil, and South Africa. Therefore, 14.4 million of the world's 15.2 million Jews have settled near the sea within these 11 nations, with 45% currently residing in Israel and 38% living in America. 659. It is perplexing that Christians believe that this speaks of their Jesus because they have sought to do away with the very thing being inherited, Yahowah's Torah. And it is by exercising good judgment, not by faith, that God's people prevail. One of the reasons so many are confused is that their Bible translations are bewildering. KJV, he shall not fail nor be discouraged, till he have set judgment in the earth, and the isles shall wait for his law. NASB, he will not be disheartened or crushed until he has established justice in the earth, and the coastlands will wait expectantly for his law. NLT, he will not falter or lose heart until justice prevails throughout the earth. Even distant lands beyond the sea will wait for his instruction. And the JPS, he shall not fail nor be crushed, till he have set the right in the earth, and the isles shall wait for his teaching. Compared to year, he will not be restrained, incapacitated, nor discouraged, lokar, nor will his everlasting witness ever be challenged, walo ratsatsad, as he examines and encourages, sim, good judgment and sound decision-making, mishpat, within the land and upon the earth, bahar eres. And therefore, they will long, to inherit, nashala, his Torah, guidance, Torah. This statement is also a defeat for Judaism. It is Yahowah's Torah, not their Talmud, which is being restored to prominence. Moreover, Hashem has a name. Thus says, Koamar, therefore declares, the Almighty, Ha-El, the one and only God, Yahowah, Yahowah, an accurate pronunciation of Yahowah based upon his Torah instructions regarding his Ha-Yah existence, who created, bara, who conceived and brought into existence, uniquely fashioning and forming for the first time, the universe and spiritual realm, Ha-Shamim, the heavens, the atmosphere, the stars, and the abode of God, and then expanded them, Wanatahem, 660 enlarged them, extending them by inflating their size, while spreading out, Raka, overlaying, the material realm along with the earth, Ha-Eres, the land, and that which is produced within it, Watsitiasaim high, what is conceived and evolves, coming to exist from it, who provides Nathan, who gives and places offering, a conscience, Neshama, the capacity to reason, the ability to think rationally, the aptitude to distinguish between good and bad, right and wrong. Truth and deceit, for the family, Laha'am, on behalf of the people, upon it, Al-Hai, within her, in addition to, the spirit, Ruach, the maternal nature, power, and influence of God, to those who walk with her, Laha Holok by high, for those who travel through life in association with her, Yashar, Isaiah 42:5. From this, we can be assured, 1. God is Yahweh's title. 2. Yahweh is God's name. 3. He speaks directly through his prophets. 4. Yahweh created the universe which is expanding because Yahweh initiated the Big Bang with a profusion of light. 5. God gave mankind a neshama, conscience, so that we will have the capacity to reason, to think rationally, and thereby be able to relate to him. 6. The Spirit of God is offered to the family members who use their neshama to travel through life enjoying an association with her. Underlying these facts, there is an amazing story being expressed at a very high level. The one thing that makes humans distinct from other animals is our neshama, conscience. This God-given capacity to think rationally and distinguish between right and wrong, good and bad, truth and lies, was placed within us so that, upon reading the Torah and prophets, we would come to know Yahweh and understand what he is offering and expecting in return. Pursuant to this prophetic declaration, our neshama, conscience is the very thing that has enabled humankind to 661 recognize that the universe was created in the manner Yahweh attests. When the redshift of starlight was discovered, we came to realize that the universe was expanding. That means it had a beginning and was created. This scientific affirmation of God's testimony should have caused smart people to acknowledge that the Bereshith, Genesis accounting was correct, but instead, failing to use their neshama, conscience appropriately, they suggested otherwise by explaining that an ancient profusion of energy cooled as it expanded to produce matter, which demonstrated that they had explained away the need for a creator. The secular can be as senseless as the sectarian. As it pertains to our composition as humans, our basar, physical bodies are carbon-based, formed out of the residue of dying and exploding stars. But without a nipesh, soul, that is nothing but interactive particles in a sea of water. Therefore, while the three-dimensional language of DNA instructs the elements that comprise our bodies on how to form cells and function in support of the entire organism, without consciousness, that language is no longer read, and the body dies. Further, it is our nipesh, consciousness that gives animals, such as humans, the ability to observe and respond to our environment. The basar is the computer and the nipesh is the operating system, while the neshama serves as the most advanced program. It is this amalgamation of stardust comprising our basar, physical bodies, orchestrated by the language of Dalet Non Aleph, and animated by our nipesh, consciousness, which, when operating as designed, can identify and accept Yahweh's ruach, spirit. In this way, a decaying basar and mortal nipesh, using the neshama, can be transformed into or, light energy and become immortal. The means to eternal life, being improved to perfection, our adoption into God's family, followed by the expansive experience of being enlightened 662 and empowered, enriched and emancipated, occurs by design through Pesach, Matzah, and Bikurim leading to Shabat. That is the story Yahweh wants those with a functioning neshama, conscience to appreciate and capitalize upon. Therefore, this accounting, like much of prophecy, was revealed for the last generation, for the remnant of Israel, such that open-minded and receptive Yahweh, Jews would reconcile their relationship with Yahweh and come home before it is too late. And think, the Creator who orchestrated and conveyed all of this was able to use a basar, herald to bring these insights to your attention for your consideration. And they say miracles aren't possible. Having used his nipesh and neshama correctly, and infused with the ruach, it is as this basar has explained. I am, Eni, Yahweh, Yahowah. I have invited you, calling you out by name to meet with you, Kara Otter, I have summoned you, welcomed you, and read and recited to you, with the means to be right and to be vindicated, Barzardak, so that you can be correct and acquitted based upon that which is accurate and fair, honest and just. I will firmly grasp you by your hand, empowering and strengthening you, Wachazak bar Yod Otter, I will be strong for you, enabling you, restoring you by my hand. And I will protect and preserve you, Wa Nazar Otter, I will keep you safe, sparing you, keeping you out of harm's way, so that you can branch out. Then I will give to you, Wa Nathan Otter, I will offer to you and appoint for you, producing and bestowing for you, accordingly, La, therefore, and to approach, a covenant, Berith, a family-oriented relationship agreement, for the family, Am, for those who are related, as a light, La or, concerning and to the point 663 of being a brilliant luminary for enlightenment, for people of other races and places, Gawim, Gentiles, Yashar, Isaiah 42:6, to open eyes which have been blinded, La Paka Ein Iwa, to facilitate sight, improving the vision of the blind, and thus unenlightened and ignorant, to bring out. Liberating, Yatsa, to extend oneself to serve and free, those who are bound and confined, Min Maska Isir, those held against their will and shut off, from houses of captivity and control, Min Baith Kelly, from being restricted by the authority of others, and those who have lived in the darkness and confusion, Yashab Choshik, who have dwelt in the blackness where there is no light. Yashaya, Isaiah 42:7. Based upon this declaration, we can conclude. 1. Yahowah wants us to know His name and to realize that He alone is the reason these things are possible. 2. God is inviting His people to meet with Him and engage in a relationship, calling us out of this world to welcome us into His family. 3. His teaching enables us to be right and thus vindicated, correct, and acquitted. 4. By grasping our Father's hand, we are strengthened and empowered by Him. 5. Yahowah is committed to protecting His children, keeping us out of harm's way so that we can branch out and grow. 6. His gift to His creation is the covenant. 7. Its children are empowered to serve as a light in the midst of a dark world. 8. While God does not want His people to emulate the Gentiles, we are asked to enlighten them. Such 664 that the blind might see what we have come to know. 9. The Almighty advocates freedom while man controls by confusion, recognizing that the unenlightened are more easily pacified. The reason Yahowah deployed His 7 Ruach spirits to encourage and elucidate, to embolden and educate His Chota is because the Nabi Yashaya revealed a prophetic communication between El and His Am which is vital to their continued existence. Knowing it, accepting it, and acting upon it moves the remnant toward reconciliation. While the formation of the Berith covenant is the reason the universe was created and life was conceived, our admission is only possible when we accept Yahowah's Kara, invitation. Our God is Kara, calling us out of the Eres, material realm of man and into the Shamaim, spiritual realm He calls home. Those who reach this destination are Kara, welcomed into God's presence by having Kara, read and recited the Torah, Nabi, Wa Mizmor. Therein, we learn that Kara is the verbal root of Yahowah's Mikrei which serve as the means to this result. In the process, those who Yada, transition from ignorance to knowledge, and from believing to understanding, become Zardak, right regarding who Yahowah is and what He is offering. Being correct regarding God is the catalyst to our Zardak, vindication. Once our relationship with Yahowah is reconciled, He can grasp hold of our Yod, hand so that we can Holak, walk side by side, so that He can lead and Chazak, support us, so that He can affirm His love for us and raise us at His side. There is nothing more Chazak, enabling or empowering. And in this way, Yahowah also Nazar, 665 protects us, keeping us away from the plagues of man, ultimately preserving our souls and saving us. This graphic presentation of Yahowah's Nathan, gift of love, support, guidance, and protection is emblematic of the Berith, family covenant. The beneficiaries of Pesach and Matzah are Bikurim, adopted into God's family, and are transformed into Or, light in the process, becoming like our Father, perfect and immortal. This, our God's greatest gift, His Berith, is for Goim, all people. Initially offered to Abraham and Sarah, who were Goim, it is open to every race in every place on earth. And as with the whole of Yahowah's prophetic revelations, His words are intended to open the eyes of those who have been blinded by religion and politics, patriotism and conspiracy, for far too long. It is time to emancipate those these human contrivances have sought to control, to enable the open-minded to emerge out of the darkness and into the light. The prophetic revelation of Yashaya, Isaiah has been available for over 2,700 years, and yet, this may be the first time many are witnessing what Yahowah intended for His people to see. Initially, Jews were too busy fighting among themselves while vying for power. Others were at each other's throats avoiding or incorporating Greek influences during the Maccabean revolt. From there, the rabbis became preoccupied with establishing Judaism and compiling the Talmud. Few if any were focused on what Yashaya revealed. With Jews looking elsewhere, Christians were beguiled into believing that these prophecies spoke of their misnomer, Jesus Christ. They built a religion upon this faulty edifice, corrupting God's message to the point it was no longer of any value. This misappropriation irritated the 666 rabbis all the more, but rather than disproving the Christian apologists, they retreated from Yahowah. Centuries later, as predicted, God has brought a Gawi into the fold, an observant foreigner, and turned him into a witness on behalf of His blinded people. With the insights provided by the prophet's words and Yah's spirit, God is elucidating those whose eyes are open, leading them out of the darkness of religion, and into the light of the relationship He intended. Affirming what we have just surmised. I am, Eni, Yahowah, Yahowah. That is my name, Hushem Eni, this is my personal and proper designation. My manifestation of power and significant status, my rewarding presence and honorable stature, Wakabowd Eni, my incalculable riches and abundant gifts, my unparalleled reputation and eternal existence, I will never transfer, Lo Nathan, I will not bestow or give, Kal imperfect, to an estranged man or God, to anyone who is different in any way, La Aka, to someone else, or my adoration and appreciation, my renown or reputation, watahila any, my noteworthy and laudable accomplishments, from halal, radiant and brilliant light which clearly shines and illuminates, to representations of gods, laha pasil, to that which men have conceived and fabricated and now idolize and worship, to any religious image or icon shaped to be divine. Yashaya, Isaiah 42:8. To know Yahowah, to engage in a relationship with him, to speak for him and to be with him, we must know, openly acknowledge, and confidently express his name. And since Judaism precludes the recognition and use of Yahowah, it leads Jews away from God. And since both Christianity and Islam have replaced Yahowah's name 667 with Jesus and Allah, the religious are worshipping false gods. These conclusions are irrefutable. It is one of many reasons Yahowah hates Judaism, Christianity, and Islam and despises those who advocate on their behalf. Do not be fooled. Based upon the pronunciation of Torah, teaching and higher existence, Yahowah is readily pronounceable. Yahowah is the utmost in Kabod. He is more powerful than we can fathom. He is more capable in 7 dimensions than we can imagine in 3. His status is optimal, creator and God. And yet, he is offering to reward those who engage in his covenant with the richness of a 6-dimensional universe with billions of trillions of stars. Moreover, we can trust him to do so because Yahowah is supremely honorable. In spite of the fact that only 1 in a million is aware of it, his reputation is unparalleled, and his existence is proven and eternal. However, be advised, these gifts are for family only. No exceptions. Those estranged by religion will receive nothing. False gods, no matter how elaborately conceived or popular, are utterly worthless. You can bow to Allah and pray to Jesus until the bulls come home, but there will be no answer. It is Yahowah alone who deserves our appreciation, the credit for having made us, revealed himself to us, and then saved us. The gods men and women have crafted over the millennia in support of their religions, their nations, and their ambitions are all counterproductive illusions. For the pathetic Christians desperate to give their Dionysian god some semblance of credibility through replacement theology, Yahowah isn't supportive. God is not sharing his presence or power with anyone, including the rabbis who have stolen his name and sullied his reputation. 668 men have made many gods, but there is only one God who made man. So, what do you suppose the chances are that religious institutions, with economic schemes to protect, revealed Yahowah's testimony accurately? For that answer, consider this sampling. KJV, I am the Lord, that is my name, and my glory will I not give to another, neither my praise to graven images. Of all of the times to get this wrong, this was among the worst. Lord isn't in the text and it isn't a name. Yahowah was written, and it is God's proper designation. This, from the NASB, is no better, I am the Lord, that is my name, I will not give my glory to another, nor my praise to graven images. Giving substance to the notion that there is a conspiracy to hide the truth, the NLT crafted, I am the Lord, that is my name. I will not give my glory to anyone else, nor share my praise with carved idols. So the moral of this story, you can't trust religious people. So, what about those who can allegedly read Hebrew, the Jewish sages, rabbis, professors, theologians and scholars? JPS I am the Lord, that is my name, and my glory will I not give to another, neither my praise to graven images. It isn't a language barrier or an insufficient education but, instead, defiance. There is the myth supported by such hideous translations that the Almighty is going to change his approach. It would be out with his old plan and in with the new one. But that is not what this says, nor is it consistent with any part of this prophecy. The first and foremost things, ha-rishon, the initial and primary things, to pay attention to, hine, to behold and notice, will come to be at the proper time 669 will be pursued and happen, coming into effect at the right moment, cal-perfect. Therefore, wa, that which is renewing and reaffirming, chadash, that which is restoring, confirming, reconciling, and revitalizing, from chadash, to renew, restore, reaffirm, and repair, I am demonstrably announcing and vividly revealing, any nagad, I am conspicuously reporting to inform, making known and expanding upon, hyphal participle, before, bar terim, in advance of when, they unfold, zamak, they happen by way of the branch sprouting and growing, coming to fruition, so you may listen, shama ethatum. So that you may hear of them. Yashaya, Isaiah 42:9. Many of the foremost things on Yahowah's agenda with humankind had been achieved by the time of this writing. God had created the universe and conceived life. He had given Adam a neshama and placed him in the Garden of Eden, tangibly demonstrating what he wanted to achieve with the rest of us. He had developed the covenant with Abraham and affirmed it with Yitzhak and Jacob, with the latter becoming Yisrael. God delivered his children from Miriam and revealed his Torah to Moses en route to the promised land. He had chosen and anointed Daud, helping him become Israel's foremost protector and prophet, ultimately establishing the nation, its capital, and his home. And there had already been a succession of prophets. All of these things had already transpired. Enemies would come and go as his people wandered ever further away from him. Nonetheless, Yahowah would continue to reveal himself through his prophets through the 5th century BCE. Then after centuries of no interaction, God sent his beloved Son to fulfill the first four-mode Mikra in the 4th millennium, in 33 CE. 670 for the next nearly 2,000 years, there was nothing said or done between God and man. Then after the long intermission, just 3 decades before Yahowah's return with Daud to fulfill the last of the foremost things on their agenda, God has broken the silence. And it is that conversation on Towrah in 2001 that led to the fulfillment of Yeshaya 42. The prophet wanted you to know that you are reading the result because the intent is to chadash, reaffirm and restore the relationship with God's people. You should want to sing, sure, choose to burst out in song, Kal imperative, 2, La, approach, Yahowah, Yahowah, our Eloah, God as directed in his Torah, teaching regarding his Hayeh, existence and our Shalom, restoration, a renewing and restoring, chadash, an affirming and reconciling, song, sure, melody with lyrics supported by music, of adoration and appreciation for him, Tehillah Hu, thanking him, to the extremity of, Min Katseh, the earth, Ha Eres. Yashaya, Isaiah 42:10. You are not only invited to join us, you have been given an engraved invitation,